Heads up on Carlos, appreciate that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Adams. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense when we can.
When we can. I'm Kyle Ryssdal. Thanks for joining us on the pod this afternoon, the YouTube live stream as well. For those of you who are there, this is Economics on Tap, Friday, today, 16 May, 2025.
Yes, and today we're going to get into some news and play a game. But first, of course, we will talk drinks. Kai, what you got?
We will. I am having, for the first time in a very long time, the OG West Coast IPA, the Stone Original IPA, brewed down in Escondido. 6.9% ABV. It's quite tasty, and I've gone mostly to hazies. Not that that really matters, but now I'm taking a brief journey back into regular IPAs, and they're quite tasty.
Okay.
Quite tasty.
Okay.
What about you? What you doing?
I made a fancy cocktail today. It's crashing in the background. I'm going to ignore it.
Sorry, Liv's playing with Will out back. She's playing ball, so there's going to be some noises.
All right, we're gonna have all the noises today. I made a fancy cocktail today. Kind of combining some of the random ingredients I had in my house. Did one of those things. So this one has cognac, yes, cognac, cherry brandy, triple sec, grenadine, and lime, and it is called The Last Goodbye.
Sorry, cognac and what is the other spirit? Grenadine, and then what was before grenadine?
Cherry brandy, triple sec.
Cherry brandy. Oh my God. That's like
lime
a everything but the
balances it
kitchen
out.
sink thing.
Yes, but the lime balances
how
out,
is
so
it?
it's not too sweet. It's good.
How is it?
I was actually extraordinarily skeptical when I saw the recipe. I was like, that feels like a lot of dark flavors and bright flavors mixed together in a weird way. And also, I was worried it was going to be super sweet, but it's not actually, because there's a decent amount of lime juice in there, and it actually balances it out pretty well.
So did you like enter what you had in your bar into like ChatGPT, or did you like say or how did the recipe thing come about?
I'll tell you later.
All right, she'll tell me later. Let's go to the chat here, shall we?
Yes.
Let's see. We've got Kate 1984 is drinking cranberry clementine sparkling water from Trader Joe's. Very nice. Matthias, Daniel Romeo's Matthias Imperial IPA from Haymarket Brewing. I've never had one of those. Wow.
Let me check.
Desiree Schumacher Yakimaniac IPA, Free State Brewery. Bet you that's good.
Liz is drinking passion fruit seltzer and silver rum. That she says is basic, but that feels fancy enough to me. I like that.
Kind of does.
Kevin is having a sweet baby Jesus, which is a chocolate peanut butter porter.
Wow. Jim Sanders is having Elijah Craig barrel proof neat. Way to do it.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Why don't you do your news first, because mine
okay.
kind of piggybacks onto yours.
So today, late this afternoon, Moody's, the credit rating agency, came out and said, we are downgrading America's credit rating from AAA, the highest, to AA1, the second highest. That makes it the third of the three big major credit rating agencies to downgrade America's debt. First was S&P in 2011, then Fitch in 2023, and then Moody's now made it the trifecta. And I don't know what to say other than, of course, and what took them so long. Because as Powell and the gang at the Fed like to say, our debt and deficit situation is not sustainable. The Republicans in Congress, as I'm sure Kimberly's going to mention, yes, no, maybe, are embarking on a multi-trillion-dollar increase in the national debt over 10 years. We have political paralysis where, and I said this on the socials this morning, we cannot even talk about the revenue side of the debt and deficit equation, which boggles my mind. So of course they downgraded us. Now, parenthetically, it doesn't really matter that they downgraded us because we issue debt and control our own currency. But just appearances wise, it's really bad.
I don't know. Every time I hear about one of these credit rating agencies downgrading or upgrading something, I'm like, weren't these the same credit agencies that were, rating those mortgage-backed securities as like
yes, they were.
triple plus? So I don't know.
Yes.
I struggle to believe them in general, but this is obviously based
Yeah,
on something very real. Go ahead.
right, right. Well, even if you discount them, and you're totally right to for their bond rating during the financial crisis, the idea that the United States of America, biggest economy in the
Hmm.
world, with the
Hmm.
largest and most liquid bond market in the world, is somehow not worthy of the top credit rating is kind of embarrassing.
And we saw exactly why today, because despite having the majority, despite
Hmm.
having, pretty much the trifecta of control, the House still can't pass its own piece of reconciliation legislation. Now, on the one hand, you could say that, hey, it's good that individual members are advocating ideally for the interests of their constituencies. You have the blue state Republicans pushing for a higher salt cap. You have what ended up happening today was fiscal conservatives who are
Hmm.
genuinely concerned about the budget and deficits and long-term debt, really kind of digging in on the cost of this thing and looking for additional cuts to try to bring the price tag down. But they can't get it together. And they've been talking about this piece of legislation since Trump came into office. And now the Republicans are
Hmm.
really starting to get worried because they're going to be pushing up against these midterms. And I was reading in, I think it was Punch Bowl News this morning, how they were talking about many of the Republicans are assuming that they're going to lose the House in the midterms. And so
Hmm.
this will be
Hmm.
their last chance to get anything done. So everybody's trying to get everything they want into this piece of legislation.
So two things. Number one, your sister's in the chat, and number
Yeah.
two, um, do you
Hi,
think
Nikki.
that Trump is going to be able to strong arm Chip Roy and the gang into going along with this?
I, if this had been Trump round one, I would have said no.
Hmm.
This, I, I don't know because Trump has a lot more power this time around than he used to. And I have just not seen the Republicans meaningfully stand up for much of anything. I
Hmm.
mean, I guess that's not true.
Yeah, nothing.
The Republicans are pushing really hard on the salt stuff, for example. Maybe this is going to be sort of the performative pushback before they give up and they say, hey, we tried,
Mm-hmm.
but we couldn't
Hmm.
do anything. So it could be that there's a little bit of, performance and theater to this rejection when they're eventually going to
Hmm.
fall in line. And Trump was on Truth Social, I think it was today or yesterday, saying that
Today,
he
yeah,
wanted
it's this morning.
everyone to get in line. I think this legislation is eventually going to pass in some capacity. I can't imagine just the cost of this thing is so big. I can't
Hmm.
imagine that even when they make some concessions, it's going to be enough that in any other world would satisfy these fiscal conservatives, but I think they're going to have to eat it. I know that was a really cagey answer, but it's
Hmm.
hard to read.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm with you though. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this goes.
Yeah.
I do want you to get to your second item because I love and hate this.
So I got a message from a friend of mine who intentionally like left the country after Trump got elected, and she has to come
Oh
back for a
wow.
bit, but she happens to be coming back on the weekend and is going to be here for the weekend of this big June parade that Trump wants to hold for on paper the Army's
Yeah,
250th
there you go.
birthday, but really which is falls on the president's 79th birthday. And I'm just going to read this here. It's in Politico, also in local news WTOP. The Army will place large metal plates at key points on the streets of Washington to better protect the pavement from the movements of the 25 M1 Abrams main battle tanks set to roll through the Capitol on June 14th. Right? So since this parade
They
was
weigh like
announced,
70 tons. Abrams
yes,
weigh like
and they
70 tons.
exactly. So here it is, concerns over the tank's weight and what that could do to DC streets
Right, right,
ultimately kept them from being used for a parade during Trump's first term. The
right.
metal plates are seen as the best way to protect the street, and each plate weighs hundreds of pounds. And
Yep.
so DC's mayor is saying like if the tanks are used on the city's roads, then funding to repair any damage they do to the streets should be part of the plan. And FYI, as they're worried about cutting costs and saving money and being fiscally responsible, this
Right.
parade and celebration will likely cost between 25 and 45 million dollars,
Right.
according to what the
Right.
White House told the AP.
A- And of course, the Republican Congress and the White House are going to screw the mostly Democratic District of Columbia, and they're not going to pay for the damn street repairs, right? I mean, that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So,
what's going to happen.
yeah.
My friend who's coming in town, she was like, "Can we please like go camping or something that weekend?"
Right.
So I
Right.
may be getting out of Dodge myself.
Don't blame you. Don't blame you.
All right, that is it for the news. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play a round of half full, half empty.
All right, we're back. Drew Johnstead, half full, half empty. Ready? Go.
All right, first story comes from Wired this week. Starting this month, Airbnb is going to be relaunching the platform with increased focus on travel experiences and other services, everything from plumbers to personal trainers. Are you half full or half empty?
I'm kind of half empty on that. I don't get it. I just want a place to hang, man. Also, do you hear
Yeah,
that bee buzzing around, by the way?
no.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
I hope it doesn't
Yeah,
hit
I'm
you.
half empty. Not yet.
I'm half empty. I don't know. I've had complicated feelings about just Airbnb in general over the years and what it's done to cities and in terms of housing costs in communities where it's become prevalent. And I understand the company's need to kind of find a new niche, but I don't know. You kind of be good at one thing and
Right.
just leave it at that. Be good at one thing. So half empty.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
All right, what's next?
Next up, Bank of America is going to be opening 150 new brick and mortar locations. Are you half full or half empty on more physical branches?
This was a story by Stephanie Hughes, I think, this morning on the morning show. Banks need to reach out and touch people to get them to do the basics, checking accounts in particular. I think that's fine. Customer service, sure, half full.
Also half full, real people jobs also in
Yeah,
a sector
yeah,
that has had a lot fewer jobs
yeah,
recently. So yeah, half full.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Next up, according to some recent management research, Gen Z workers are more likely to avoid leadership roles for mental health reasons. The buzzword on this is conscious
Really?
unbossing. Are you half full or half empty?
Really? Okay, so wait. So can somebody who's within reach of a computer Google Gen Z? How old are Gen Zers now? Do we
I
know?
think they're in
Anybody?
their late 20s, if I'm not mistaken. Early
Late
30s.
20s.
That's wrong.
Okay.
That's wrong. Let me look. Let me look. I'm gonna get this.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
I
about
think they're
right.
in their mid 30s now. Yeah.
20s,
Right now
20s to
they're.
early 30s.
20s and early 30s, and they don't
Maybe.
want to have
Yeah.
leadership roles. They don't want to be bosses,
30
right?
seems old for Gen Z.
Okay. Hold on.
All right. So a
Silent
podcast
generation,
fanatic
baby
says in the
boomers.
chat 28 or younger. Late 20s says
Yeah,
Miles Wilburn. So late
1997
20s.
through 2012. Yeah, so they're the late 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but look, that's not, you can't know. I, somebody has
Oh,
to lead.
what?
Somebody has
Okay.
to lead. And you don't get to say, no, I don't want to do that.
So, but we're talking about people in their mid 20s. I mean, it's often mid to late 20s. I
Mid to
mean,
late, mid to late, right? When I was in my mid
so,
20s, and sorry, not to make this all about me, but when I was in my mid
mhm,
20s, I was running 30 guys responsible for $150 million worth of airplanes.
okay. I think in non-armed forces sectors of the economy, it is not often that you have managers in that age range. So I don't think it's so unusual that Gen Z would not imagine themselves in a leadership role at that age. That said, this whole not even wanting it, not wanting to be bothered because of mental health, I mean, middle management is generally a thankless job. And so I get why they would have that perspective, or management in general can be a pretty thankless job. So I get why they would have the perspective. So, but I would hope that rather than rejecting it in general, they would instead change the way it operates and kind of work the systems so that maybe being a manager doesn't suck so much. So I guess half empty is the response to that also, but I don't really know how to answer that question.
Well, I think the actual answer is somewhere deep in your response, which is that
Hmm.
you have to be trained for
Hmm.
this. You can't just be thrown into the deep end. And I wonder if that's kind of what's happening in a lot of companies today for reasons that escape me at the moment. But it seems
Hmm.
like that is just given the pandemic and the changing workforce and all of that
Hmm.
jazz, that might be what's happening. And you cannot be thrown in the deep end and expected to succeed. So if that's what's happening to these folks, then
Hmm. Or that's
sure,
what
I
they're
get their
seeing for
feeling.
the previous
Yeah,
generations.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, complicated topic. That's a really good
Ah,
topic, actually.
yeah, yeah. Okay, is
Hmm.
that now it's time for the poll?
No, we got one more before the
One
poll,
All
more.
right.
Okay.
and it goes like this. Are you half full or half empty on publishing novels on Substack?
Hmm.
Sure.
Say more.
I mean, I
Or
think it's
not.
just kind of like a new medium for people to experiment with. It's kind of like, sort of reminds me to how like Charles Dickens used to release serialized novels like in
Oh
the newspaper.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that used to be a thing. I mean, and in some ways, and of course I'll take it here, it's kind of like manga and light novels, where they and
Go on.
there are many genres of literature and fiction that are released in a serialized way across many cultures, literary magazines,
Yes,
short
absolutely.
stories,
Yes,
series.
for
And
sure.
so this is just, it seems like just making it digital. So I like the idea of getting people to come back to something.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be instant gratification, and it kind of draws things out. Our culture has shifted so much to binge watching and binge reading of everything. So, yeah. Everyone's trying to figure out what a light novel is. It's just a different type of short story that is very popular in Japanese culture. Sorry.
There you go. No, good. Amen. Yeah, look, I think it's the modern evolution of the periodically published novel. I think that's yeah,
Hmm.
totally. I think that's fine.
I'll take it.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
All right, now the poll.
Yep.
Now the poll.
Now
Are
the
you
poll.
half full or half empty on the return of HBO Max?
Oh my God, shut up. Really? Sorry, did I say that out loud?
What are your
I just
thoughts on this, Kai?
uh, well, as I said on the actual radio show the other day, brand is everything and CEOs know nothing. Since 2008, there have been, I think, 5 brand name changes for HBO, HBO Max, HBO Go, HBO Now, take your pick, and now we're back to HBO Max after having gotten rid of it like 3 years ago. Man, and I probably have apps on my phone for each and every one of those. By the way, come on, man.
What
Sorry,
shows
I
are you
guess I gave
watching
that
all
away.
day?
I know we're supposed to wait for the poll results to come in, but come on.
But what are you watching?
Hmm. I don't watch a lot of stuff on Max, but or HBO Max or whatever it is.
HBO Max or
But
HBO Go?
The
Remember HBO
Last of
Go?
Us is big in The Last of Us is big in my family. My wife
Hmm.
watches that. Sorry, neighborhood dogs.
All
And
good.
then something else. I forget what. Anyway, whatever. Last of Us and something else. Anyway, what about?
I
I mean,
just
are you?
finished
Do you watch?
watching. I watched the first season of Last of Us, but then I let my subscription lapse because I just was too busy with other things. I did just finish
Also because
watching the latest.
zombies.
You know,
Zombies.
it it was I held off watching the first season of, I think we talked about this on the show, how I held off
Yeah, I
watching
think
it
we
for
did.
such a long
Yep.
time because I was scared, and then I think you said your neighbor worked on it or something, and
Yes. Yes,
that
a
was
guy I
what
know.
made me actually be willing to try it out.
Oh.
And it was okay. So yes, the zombie show, I watched that, but I actually just finished watching the latest season of Andor, and I
Oh,
couldn't.
that's so interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I,
I have
I
a thought.
couldn't help but notice, as I was watching this, because this is, for people who aren't into Star Wars, very, very early in what is an extraordinarily long time arc of the Star Wars universe. This is early in the rebellion against the Empire. They're just starting to organize, kind of the pushback against some of the evil things that the Empire is doing. And at the end of the series, I couldn't help but notice how all of these characters seem to think that this is going to be resolved in their lifetime.
Oh my, the parallels are horrifying. Sorry.
The parallels are
out loud?
horrifying. And I was sitting there and I was just like, because they're like, yeah, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna keep fighting until we win. And I'm just like, oh, you think this is gonna be wrapped up in your lifetime? And spoilers alert, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. To answer a question in the chat, Andor is on Disney Plus. I actually I skipped the first season of Andor just because I watched The Mandalorian and it did nothing for me, and I was like, I don't need another derivative thing. So I gave it a shot about
Andor's
3
better.
weeks ago. Well, so look, I lasted 3 episodes and it just didn't do it for me. I got nowhere with it, and so I bailed.
So
I don't know.
I think, forgive me if this is like aging you too much. Were you like
Thank you.
aware of life when the original Star Wars came out? Like
Oh, I
old
hate
enough
you.
to like remember?
You are dead to me. You are dead to me. God. Drive the knife in a little deeper, Kimberly.
So, assuming the answer might be yes, I have found that people who have like an actual memory of the original Star Wars coming out, it being a part of like a moment in their lives, there is nothing about any of the new Star Wars that is okay, will resonate, will land, be good enough compared to the way that made you feel back then. And I wonder
Maybe,
if that might be it.
That may well be it. Just so Miles Wilbur in the chat, have I seen Rogue One? Yes, I did, and I loved it. I thought it was
Okay,
great.
so there's that.
But this one, I couldn't. I don't know. Maybe in like 5 years, I'll give it another whack. I don't know. Whatever.
I will also join the people who thought there was like an arc of episodes that were really terrible that, kind of also poisoned the water for a lot of people because they were just so bad.
Oh.
But I actually liked The Mandalorian. I really think I've seen Ashoka or what is it, the Acolyte. Those are some of the other ones I haven't seen. I love
So
that there's a lot of Star Wars happening.
There's a lot of stuff happening in the chat. Jason Paringer, there are only 3 Star Wars movies. It's tough to disagree with that. Coming from, as old as I am, thank you, Kimberly Adams.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to scroll back and hit the poll, and then we're going to move on to this podcast because we could go forever. So, Max becoming
Yes.
HBO Max again, half empty, 68%, half full, 31%. I want to know what the 31% of you are thinking on half full. What?
Like, what does it matter? Like, what
What?
makes it full? Like, okay.
Oh my God. I don't know. All right. We are done with the substance of this podcast for today, but there is one thing I have to say before we go, and then Kimberly's going to say something else. Next Thursday is my last day as the full-time participant in this podcast. Molly and I started this 8.5 years ago. Kimberly and I grew it 4-ish years ago, but it is time for other people to have a chance to have the fun. I'm going to be around. I got a day job, and I will be back every now and then if they need somebody to pinch hit. But it's time for somebody else to have a good time on this podcast. That's where we are.
Yeah, and we're not going away. We're still going to have fun because obviously none of us is as smart as all of us. So we need all of you to help us as we move forward with this show because we need you. And we are going to still be here. We are going to take a little bit of a break after Kai says his last goodbye.
Oh, this was it. This was my last goodbye. Thursday afternoon, we are fading off into the sunset with a see you later.
You're missing the
everybody." That's
joke,
it.
Kai. My cocktail is called The Last Goodbye. It was foreshadowing and you didn't get it.
Did you tell me it was called The Last Goodbye?
I did, and you didn't get it at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was concentrating on the ingredients. I'm such a jerk. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, come on now. Like, this is very sweet for me.
I'm sorry. Well, it is, but there was lime juice, and so it was okay. I pay attention to the ingredients. Oh, man.
Oh gosh. Anyway,
Anyway,
it's been so much fun hosting the show with you, and
same.
I won't get emotional today. I'll probably get emotional next week. So I'm going to stop that right now.
All right.
Anyway, like I said, we are going to take a little bit of a break after Kai finishes the show next week. And then we are going to come back. I'm going to be joined by my colleague Rima Kreis for a bit. You know her from our podcast, This is Uncomfortable. And we are going to have a great time together. And then we want to continue to hear from you throughout this process. So if you have ideas, if you want to tell us what you're the most excited about, how we can help make you smarter as we continue to grow the show, you know how to reach us, 508-UB-SMART. You can email us at makemesmart@marketplace.org. Kai.
I'm really sorry I missed the drink. I'm really, really sorry. I was,
That's okay.
oh man.
That's all right. That's
Make
all
Me
right.
Smart is produced by Courtney Bergseeker. Our intern is Ohamalik. Today's episode was engineered by Juan Carlos Torana.
The team behind our Friday game is Emily McCune, Jamila Huxtable, and Antoinette Brock. Marissa Cabrera is our senior producer. Bridget Bodner is the director of podcasts. And Francesca Levy is the executive director of digital and on demand. Maybe we should
There you
just
have it.
bring you back every so often and call you like the host emeritus.
Every now and then, whatever you guys do.
Every now and then.
Whatever you guys do.